Tonight, just as Trump announces the pullout from Syria, we have a new chemical weapons attack. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to Just Informed Talk. As I always do, I want to start off by thanking each and every one of my subscribers. Without you guys, this channel would not be possible, so thank you so much to each and every one of you. Now, if you have not hit the subscribe button, please come here to this landing page and click the big red subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications. That way, you'll be informed as soon as these videos get posted, because as soon as the information is made available to me, I make it available to you. So, thank you all for joining me. Getting into Q. All right, we have the latest Q posts, and we're just going to go ahead and read through the first one here. But first, let's just go back, and I want to talk about something. You guys pointed this out, and I had to go back and make this clarification. EH and CA, right? We were having a little trouble with that on the last video. It is Eric Holder, I believe, in California, relevant for the fact that Eric Holder has been hired by the state of California to do a lot of its litigation work, and you guys know, you guys can go look up those stories if you want, but they don't really pertain to what we're going over here right now. I will go back and cover some of these things in later videos, so you guys stay tuned for that. But this going into what we're talking about here tonight. The first Q post, night 4. 4 is in the kill box. Increase in chatter. Authorization or auth B19-2. Sparrow red. Prevent at all costs. Good. Castle_online. Q. Okay. And then Q in the next one here is responding to his own post here. So maybe another Q is saying prevent auth or authorization first S castle_green, and then it gives a code, basically a set of letters and numbers that you guys can read there for yourself, and then it says contact window OK Q. Now what is he talking about? Well, I have some theories about what is going on here, but first we're going to talk about what's going on in the world, because we're going to get into this in later posts here. There was another chemical attack in Syria where they're alleging right now that there's at least 70 dead. Now, why is this important to what Q is posting? Well, my take on what's going on here, and we'll get into it, is rather interesting to me, I guess. But let's look at what this could be talking about. So it's the fourth night. They've known that there's been increased threats across the board. Q's been talking about that. He said, watch the news. He said Trump's going to be up all night and that we need to pray. And we've been in this constant state of alert for the last 4 nights now. And that, if you guys want to go back, I just encourage you all, if you're kind of new to this, go back and rewatch some of my last 3 videos. They'll catch you up to where we're at right now, just for the meantime, if you want to get references to what we're talking about. But go do that if you want to get caught up to what we're doing, and go watch all my videos if you want to get caught up on the whole thing. But so we've had an increase in chatter, though. Now, every time we see this reference to chatter, it's almost as if one of the QAnon collective is alerting to another QAnon collective. One of the best examples of this would be, we had a set of Secret Service agents who actually exposed the fact that there was a person with a gun who was working for Trump's motorcade, and he was a press van driver, and he said he, quote unquote, like, forgot he had his gun on him. So that's what this reminds me of. Whenever there's moments that are really tense and we have a lot of stuff going on, you see these mentions of chatter. Now, obviously these are inside messages. These aren't meant, I don't think, necessarily for us to decode as much as they are meant for communicating with other Qs and communicating with people who may be monitoring the board. But overall, it could also be that it's put in so that we can have an idea of the inside chatter. But either way, this is very important. Now, authorized B19-2, a lot of people have been making a reference to some kind of viral hepatitis that's listed in the DC, or what is it, DCIM, whatever, the manual for diagnosing diseases and whatnot, as being a viral strain of hepatitis. I'm not sure about that. I think it's an authorization code, And I think this all relates to what we're going to read here next, which is Sparrow Red, which is talking about, in my opinion, the Red Sparrow here, where we get into, Q likes to use names of novels and things. So is this connected to Russia? And it's Red Sparrow is a novel that's about a former Russian ballerina who's forced to undergo espionage training for the Russian government at the Sparrow School, where people are trained to seduce their targets. And that's kind of the gist of it. Is this a warning from Q about a possible Sparrow coming in, or is it just a reference to Russia? As we've seen in the past with like Red October and other references to pop culture kind of that have been spun to have different meanings here on the boards. I'm not sure about that, but that's where I'm drawing this conclusion or drawing this theory out to say that we have Sparrow Red being referenced, and it says prevent at all costs, good, Castle Online Q. Now, what this reminds me of is, I don't know if you guys are familiar with back in the Cuban Missile Crisis when we were having a high level of tension, we actually installed a direct line from Moscow to the Pentagon. And the reason being that we wanted to have a direct line of contact to prevent any kind of nuclear war or global conflict from erupting from a miscommunication or some kind of lack of the ability to talk to one another and analyze perceived threats by one another that may or may not be actually aimed at the person who is interpreting it as being aimed at them. So if we look at it in that perspective, I believe this may be referencing the fact that there's been some kind of back channel that's been opened up in response to what's happened in Syria, where we have this chemical attack, because we've had a lot of things that have been brought up in regards to what people want to talk about with the attack. So we're just going to read through the rest of these posts, and then we're going to kind of finish our analysis really quickly, so you guys can get to posting comments in the boards and helping out with the deciphering of all this. Now, the next one says, it's in response, Q's responding to himself. It says, tracking good, relay back channel, SWHEP1, fly high Q. Now, we'll read the next one just to get through this, and then we'll go back and start analyzing everything. Q says, they are trying to start a war, deflection, public interest shift, pull out announcement, chemical or chem attack. Coincidence? These people are sick. Q. Okay. So going back to what we're talking about here, in the fact that I think the back channel has been opened because we're having an attack, and what Q's pointing to is here, right after Trump made the pullout announcement, we have this chemical attack. So Trump announces that we're going to pull out from Syria. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually we need to start making a plan for that, and that ISIS has been defeated. And then the minute you see that, you see news reports across the board saying, oh, Trump's going to create another ISIS, and it's never going to work, and it's failed, and he's already backpedaling on his word, which, his word was to take us out of these foreign conflicts that don't do anything for the American people, but rather fund the military-industrial complex so that they can continue to siphon billions, if not trillions, out of our national budget each year by year, decade by decade. Kind of the thing that Eisenhower warned about, the military-industrial complex. And so if you guys want to watch that, go back and just, put Eisenhower military-industrial complex speech. You'll see what I'm talking about there. Now, what I think, though, is going on here is that regardless of whether this board is just used to inform patriots of what's going on behind the scenes, or to actually use as an actual message board for dropping posts, which I'll tell you what my opinion is, okay? And it's obviously it wouldn't matter either way, because it's good that we're getting the information no matter what. So either if it's for us or for them that they're talking to, and we just happen to be the bystanders watching. My opinion as to why we are the bystanders watching, and this is actually a message board for those people to communicate in probably the best possible way you could communicate with the way that metadata is collected today. If you just analyze the way that metadata is collected in the United States, especially in other countries around the world where you have the the Five Eyes and the global intelligence community at large that's kind of agreed to basically intercept every single piece of data that's transferred digitally and store it somewhere somehow, and then put it into databases that are easily searchable. What the what I would say that this is good for is, you imagine he's posting on this 8chan board, which, as if you want to watch my last episode, where it's just the hilarity of this one right here, the hilarity of them talking about the deep web and how equating an 8chan board to the deep web, which I just thought was quite hilarious. It's just like how CNN told you that you could get in trouble for reading the WikiLeaks emails. Kind of the same bull, tactics that they pull out. And if you think about it, what could this be actually positive for that? Like, how could this be positive for that kind of communication? Well, it would be quite simple, in my opinion. You imagine a board where you can post pretty much anonymously, and then you have thousands, if not tens of thousands of people contributing. There's no way the algorithms can keep up, and even if they can, there's so much distraction, there's so much cover. It's like cover fire. It's like, imagine you're in a battle, right? And you're trying to advance your position. You're not just going to get up and start running. You're going to ask your fellow soldiers, your fellow patriots, to get up and start firing, so that you can. That's called laying down suppressive fire. And when you lay down that suppressive fire, then the enemy has to withhold their firing for a moment, giving you just the amount of time you need to move and advance your position. Just as that is a tactic in the military sense, this is the tactic I think that they are choosing to use in the war on technology sense. The metadata collection, algorithms, the sniffers, the bots. This is how you defeat them. And that's why I think that we, the Q collective, not just, just everyone involved, everybody who's here, everybody who's watching this video, we are so important, because we're laying down that suppressive fire so that Q can advance his agenda that we obviously nominated Trump to put in place. So thank you all to each and every one of you who come to the Q boards and lay down that fire, the metaphorical fire every day. But I guess it would be kind of real if you just think if you're a liberal and you think that words are really harmful, which is just absolute asinine nonsense. And it is with I'm not even going to show stuff that I have here. A lot of people get on me about that, but you know what? I'm not showing it because that's what they want. They want this to be out there. They think it's good, and B, it's already being exposed. So, for me to put it up on screen is just kind of pointless. But I will point you to here for a little bit of something I think that's really important that we should all just look at. Now, I'm not going to show you. I can't even scroll down. That's how graphic the stuff is on this Twitter account. Now, it's the white helmets. You can probably search them right in your Twitter search bar and find them. Now, the white helmets have been given quite a reputation as being the saviors of the Syrian revolution, and who are going in and saving people. And yes, they obviously do save people, but I would not say that they're the type of people we want to be supporting wholeheartedly. Now, you guys can come here and check this out for yourself. I can't, like I said, I can't even scroll down. It's too graphic, and it's literally disturbing that I have to bring this to you guys. So if you guys have a strong stomach, come here and check out this Twitter page. And it kind of baffles me how this can be allowed on Twitter. As strict as they are, like restricting accounts that show just certain things, and how they restrict just the words that we use on here. You'd think showing the bodies of dead children after a chemical attack would be something they may want to go and examine a little closer to see if it's okay to put that up. Because this, personally, in my opinion, is the definition of fear-mongering and propagandizing and, as they say, never letting a good tragedy go to waste. And that's what these people are. A lot of people have made speculations, and I don't know if this is true or not, but that the White Hats have been totally infiltrated by pretty extreme Islamic factions who preach fundamentalism and extremism in the sense of just a radicalized view. And could you imagine these kids got to be getting radicalized? These white helmets going through the shattered remains of their city, Aleppo, and other places, and picking dead bodies out of the concrete rubble. I mean, how could you not be radicalized by that? So I kind of understand what they're going through in that sense, but then it seems that they're being completely used for other purposes. So you guys go check that out. And that just gives you an idea of what we're dealing with here with this chemical attack in Syria. And I thought a good point that was brought up by a person here on the deep web, which is just a joke, 8chan board. It's this guy who points to this article, and it's an article from before, I think, February 14th. So it was the same day as the Parkland's thing. But Macron threatens to attack Syria over chemical weapons. And he went on to say in the article that he would go without the USA's approval. Now, and then the AN0N post here, he says, looks like Pope has us at checkmate. So I think the insinuation is that the Pope has a connection to Macron, that he's working, he's pulling the strings behind what Macron's doing. And then the AN0N goes on, he says, even if U.S. were to pull out of Syria, we've got a cowboy like Macron taking orders from the Pope to move into Syria and start carpet bombing. Macron stated last month that he would go in even without U.S. support. Once the French planes start getting taken out by S-400, NATO Article 5 is triggered and in goes the USA. And it would be one way to try to pull us into war. Now, do we have to abide by the NATO agreement? In these circumstances, do we? You guys let me know what you think in the comments. I have an opinion. I think that if this were the case where it was the Pope directing France to do this to try to pull us into a global conflict with Russia, I mean, France, first of all, would have to understand, they have to look back at their own history and go, man, that would not be a good idea, because it would probably not work out well for anyone in France. We've seen how they get, they're the in my opinion, the weakest and the worst of the bunch in Europe, because they immediately surrender or just basically jump sides as soon as they get a chance and turn on their own. And it's kind of sad. You had great things in France, like the French resistance, and there's a lot of great patriots, I'm sure, in France who are fighting the good fight, trying to make these evil globalists exposed. You have the whole example of President Sarkozy, who was obviously, he's been, I believe, arrested, and he was put on trial for taking millions of dollars from Gaddafi in Libya. So there are factions that are moving to kind of get rid of these old factions that are doing the bidding of the new, whatever you want to call them. I call them the globalist, pedophile, Luciferian, Satanists, whatever. That's what they're called basically to me, because they work in the cabal. It's the Rothschilds and the Soroses and the these big players who, the House of Saud, the guys that Q's been pointing out throughout this entire time. And excuse me for that. I'm going through this. If you guys have already gotten through, this is the latest of the latest. We can hit the refresh and see if there's anything else, but nothing else right now. So this is basically where we're at right now, and we're kind of sifting through all this information. But another thing that stood out to me that goes back to what we were talking about here. First off, I know this is Prince, oh my gosh, now I just drew a blank on his name. It's Prince Andrew, right? One of the royal family here, and he's with this Ghislaine Maxfield, and this is Rachel Chandler, right? And they're talking about the Epstein plane connection and all that stuff, and then Rachel is this big art person, right? Artist, has her artsy Instagram account that we busted here on the Q research stuff. We totally blew them out of the water, metaphorically speaking, and called up the FBI. So good job to everybody who participated in that and reported these sick people, because now we have to leave it to them. We can't do anything besides point them in the right direction and say, please investigate this, and thank you for your service. Because, I mean, what else can we do at this point? Q pointed it to our attention. We brought it to their attention. Now, was this all part of something bigger, though? It was talking about how, what we're talking about here. You have AN0N involved with this, and you have this weird stuff. They're basically, it looks like putting kids up for auction, it seems. And Q gave us the post here. He says, call the FBI. And we're like, okay, we will. And we did. And I think they got more calls probably in one afternoon than on the same topic than they have probably since the last episode of America's Most Wanted. I don't know. So what I wanted to talk about here, though, is how there was a very interesting fire at Donald Trump's tower. And you can hear is the tweet from Trump where he said, fire at Trump Tower is out, very confined, well-built building. Firemen and women did a great job. Thank you. So we're glad the fire went out, but the story that's coming out now is talking about how the details on Trump Tower fire victim emerged. So there was one victim, apparently, and he had an apartment in Trump Tower, and he was a 67-year-old man who was an art dealer. And his name was Todd Brassner. You guys, please start digging. I just want to figure out if there's any connection to anything that we've been going through lately. But is it a coincidence? Because Q says there are no coincidences. But is it a coincidence that this happened right after the Rachel Chandler thing broke? And this guy's was a pretty rich art dealer in New York who kind of said he fell off lately and comes from a very rich family. That's what the post here goes on to say. And they talk about how he's in debt and he had failing health, and amazingly, I think it goes on to say here that his assets were worth multiples of his secured debt. In appraisals that went up in the apartment. So it's just very strange how this all happened. If you guys have any insight, I can give you what my theory is. It's just a complete shot in the dark at this point because there is no verifiable evidence, and I feel a little bit responsible giving you guys shots in the dark. But I think it's fair enough to say that Trump Tower having a fire in a specific apartment that belongs to an aging art dealer who we don't know who or how he's connected to any of this, but let's just say that there may or may not be a connection between this and Rachel Chandler and what was just exposed on the Q boards. So if you guys want to keep up on this story, you're going to really be able to help out big time and keep kind of filling us in on what we need to know here for this specific story. Now, that's going to be pretty much it for this episode of Just Informed Talk. I want to say thank you to each and every one of you who've come here to this landing page and subscribed. And if you're looking for a way to contribute to the channel, which I know you all are, please just come here and click the big red subscribe button if you have not clicked the subscribe button yet. And make sure you hit the bell for notifications. That way you'll get notified as soon as these videos get posted. Because as I always say, as soon as these videos get posted, or as soon as the information is made available, I make it available to you. So that's going to be it. And the second best way, though, you can contribute, which is really one of my favorite ways, and it helps out the channel big time, is to go down and check out the comment board. As I say, we have our own QAnon research board at the end of each one of these videos, and it's just incredible to hear so many great, thoughtful, insightful, well-spoken people down there who give great analysis of the video here, the Q posts, and what they think is going on or what might not be going on, where they think I may have gotten something incorrect, and where they think they agree with me and I'm right, and where Q may be talking about something that I can't even figure out. So it's just great. You guys go down there. I guarantee you, if you go down, even if you don't comment, you're going to learn something, and you're going to see a lot of great fellowship and a lot of great community. We're building a community here, and it's just really great. So thank you to each and every one of you. If you want, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You can join this community. Now, if you're looking for another way to contribute, come on over here to my Patreon account, and it's patreon.com. You can search Just Informed Talk right here. You'll come to this landing page. Make sure you click the big red button to become a patron. I want to say thank you to each and every one of my patrons who have already come here and contributed. You guys are what make this channel work. Come check out my rewards and my goal. We're doing great on both, and we still need all the help we can get. So thank you so much to everybody who has contributed and everybody who's going to come here and visit it. If you're looking for something cool, we have a couple of these Is Trump QAnon official Just Informed Talk t-shirts that are pretty much out there. If you get to the gold talk level contribution, there's only 10 that are up for grabs. So please go down and make sure you click that. That way you can get the shirt. I really appreciate and thank you in advance for your consideration of donating to keep this channel up and running, because it's the only way I'll be able to keep doing this for you guys here. Now, with all that being said, I want to take some time. I've been having a really great time and a really great response from a lot of people out there who are watching to just going through a little Bible verse at the end of each episode. So I really want to share another one that I thought was pertinent to what we're going through here today. And it's not too long, but it's another psalm that I really, really like. And it goes like this. It's Psalm 8. It's God's glory and man's dignity. Now it begins. Lord, our Lord, how magnificent is your name throughout the earth. You have covered the heavens with your majesty. Because of your adversaries, you have established a stronghold from the mouths of children and nursing infants, to silence the enemy and the avenger. When I observe your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars, which you set in place. What is man that you remember him, the Son of Man that you look after him? You made him little less than God, and crowned him with glory and honor. You made him Lord over the works of your hands. You put everything under his feet, all the sheep and oxen, as well as the animals in the wild, birds of the sky and fish of the sea, passing through the currents of the seas. Lord, our Lord, how magnificent is your name throughout the earth. See, it was a shorter one, but once again, I'm just really feeling the whole praising God right now and being thankful, especially when the times get difficult. You know, when you guys are out there and you guys are going through your own lives, remember that when times are difficult, we have to just remember the magnificence of God and how he's given us so much. He's given us this incredible ability to govern ourselves, and he's made us in his image and put us here on earth to enact his will, and he's given us the freedom of choice to do all this great stuff. So that's why when we look at these people, that it's so easy to hate. But what's the most difficult thing is to love your enemy. And I'm not saying that we need to show necessarily mercy, because obviously God says there is a time for battle, and there's and judgment is fair if it is necessarily acquiesced by the person who perpetrated it. But you know, let's try not to be the individual judges here. Let's try to be more godly and more like what he wants us to be, and understand that everyone is imperfect, and there's a lot of lost souls out there, and there is evil that must be fought and defeated. And we cannot for 1 second believe that the evil that has to be fought and defeated necessitates us becoming it, if that makes sense to you. So I hope that if you don't take anything away from this episode, you take that away. Understand that we are meant to be God's light, and we need to bring his light into our soul and our heart, and then make ourselves into a beacon for the world at large. So I'm Craig. This is Just Informed Talk. Godspeed and God bless, Patriots.